our upcoming discussions that we're about to have about the genre of music. So welcome to our town hall meeting, and our topic today is, what is the current genre of St. Kitts Nevis music? Where are we coming from? Where are we now? And where are we going? And at the table we have the importance, a few, not all, just a few. On my right, íTebulous is present. We also have Rucas HE, and of course, the man with the sauce, Cory, MasaBlue, Tyson, Country's Kitchen. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, guys. I want to welcome everyone who's in the room. We find that this conversation is very important and very needed at this point. But before we even begin, I would like to state for the record that our meeting is not to discuss past payments of naught. We are not here to talk about the sound sequencing for the DJs, but we also identify these as problems that we have in St. Kitts and Nevis right now. But we want to start the conversation with talking about where our sound came from, what created the sound, and who was there, because I wasn't present, I wasn't there when it started. So Cory, I want to start with you a little bit of history about where the sound, where the music came from. Pep, Wilders, Wailers, Wilders. Where did it come from? How did it start? Let's go back a little bit.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure being here amongst my peers and everybody in the fraternity. It's always a pleasure for me to bang them out when it comes to music and music business and entertainment. If we're going to talk about music of the country, St. Kitts and Nevis, where do we start? Because I would want to bet that the first humans who put foot on these beautiful islands were making music, right? We could go back to the Caribs and the Arawaks, or do we start with our ancestors that were brought over on those slave ships? Where do we start? For the purpose of this conversation, I personally would like to start from the introduction of what we call the drum machine, because it's my opinion that that's where things start to get wild, right? Before the introduction of the drum machine, we had the bands like, Element and Jay's Brass, the Soul Survivors, the LCs, the Autons, the Grand Dashes too. And I am not sure who was the first band to introduce the drum machine, but I want to say that it was, Toucan. I want to believe it was Adrian and Toucan, who was very technical. That was the band for those of you who don't know. Toucan was the band with all the cool gadgets at the time. They had the financial backing of my good friend of blessed memory, Adrian Lamb, and the family. So Toucan was the band. But as a fan of the music, I think where things really kicked off was with the Grandmasters and the Smarters, when they first introduced the RS series drum machines. And those are drum machines by the company Yamaha. And what was so special about those drum machines is that for the very first time, they introduced some percussion instruments that were tunable, melodious percussion instruments like marimba, steel pan. Those drum machines also had basses and clarinets and different instruments that you couldn't actually sequence or program melodies with. And that is when we started to get really creative. And we started programming melodious rhythms of what we know today. And that was started in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, right? So I would want to give maybe those two bands the credit. So for the purpose of this conversation, at least from my perspective, that is where I would want to say our modern day music started. Fast forward to a legend in the business, and I'm going to mention his name, and more than likely his name will be mentioned pretty often throughout these conversations, and that person would be Raskelly. When Raskelly came on the scene and took the reins from Bogner, from Small Axe, Raskelly changed the game, and he was using that was at the Akai MPC series drum machines. Got affordable. They were around since the 70s and the 80s. Yeah, the MPC 60, the MPC 62, the MPC 3000. But these were all drum machines that cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 US dollars that were out of the range of us. Right? When the MPC 2000 came out in 1998, it was the first drum machine that was affordable for us. It was $1,800 for the base model, but that was affordable. And with that, the difference between that series of drum machines and the previous ones is that this one drum machine allowed you to sample or record snippets of other drum machines or any sound that you would have heard that you wanted to incorporate into your music, whether it's from a cheap Casio keyboard, which we still use some of those sounds better. If somebody's talking, you could sample that voice and you could use that. And that opened the door for creative, a bunch of creativity. It had the memory for the rhythms to be a little bit more complex. We didn't run into those memory-full messages that we used to get on the drum machines back in the day. And with Raskelly coming on the scene with that, being young in the business, he had a different outlook. And I remember, I was playing in bands. I want to believe I was playing in bands before Kelly. Not by much, but when Kelly started with Small Axe, because that's when I first started hearing about it. And I remember listening, I was like, what is this? Because it was totally out of the box. And for the musicians here and people who understand, us who used to program with drum machines, because of our limitations, most of the rhythms were either 1 bar or 2 bar pattern. If you're lucky, you could get a 4 bar pattern. But he was Kelly coming with shortest rhythm, Kelly making it a 4 bar. And he got 16 and some 32. And he making all these rolling sounds. I'm like, what is this guy doing? Right? He was what the industry would call a disruptor. And Raskelly changed up the game, and at first everybody was like, what is Spy doing? This is garbage, but then everybody was, what is Spy doing? Kind of sort of good. What is Spy doing? I have to go see what he's doing. What is Spy doing? Let me go try that. Right? And that's where I think a lot of what we're doing today still happens. A lot of the sounds that we're using in our music came from the original drum machines via the way of being sampled by the MPC. Now we're creating on the computers, the laptops, etc. And all of those sounds would have migrated from drum machines from the late 80s, early 90s, all the way up to 2025. In 2025, The drum machine that the RX-5 and the RX-7 came out in 1988 and 89. So 35, not 35? No more than that. 40? No, 35. 35, 36 years, 35, 36, 37 years later, we are still using it. 40? 40 years later, we still using those drum machines. I see some of young fellas here before, and I know some of y'all make beats and so on. And I know I could go on those computers, and I could identify sounds, and I could tell you, yeah, that came from a car, DDM 220. Yeah, that came from a Yamaha RY30. Oh yeah, that sound, you know that cowbell that nothing like to roll and so on. Yeah, that come out of a Roland DDM 110. Yeah, you understand? So it's no, yeah. I kind of weird. Yeah, I see some. I see fellow panelists shaking their heads, but I'm kind of weird just because what I did at the very start, before I really got into playing in bands, my thing was recreation. I used to work with a lot of drum machine, rhythm man, they were good at creating their own stuff, but they weren't as good of recreating other people's things, right? So as a young boy, 15, 16, 17, these guys who played in bands would have recognized all the art that little ear for recreation. So they would bring the drum machines and say, hey Cory, the jam band just come out with a song that I want to play it. When you get some time, knock it in for me. Right? So by doing that for some time, I'm able to listen to a song and say, okay, the steel pan they come from the Roland R8. So I know where to go to look for it. Even today, in some of my latest recreation projects, you know, folks ask me, you know, how you get that? It's just because I know what was used, so it's easy. It's easy to go back and say, but yeah, when Sugar Band did not street style, when Sugar Band did movements, I know Stibble was using a RX-7 and a RX-5, and I know the rolling sound there come from the Alesis he was using. So when I go to create now, I just go to the kit, look for the sounds, and it's there. But I'm sorry for rambling a little bit. I check my feelings at the door, but I still have my passion. I still have the passion. So yeah, I would say our music started in its current form in the mid-90s on up.
Thank you so much. But you said a lot that's important and needed for the conversation in general, because that's how it started. We started with that kind of movement. Do we have documentation? Do we have anything that says, okay, yes, this is what happened in 95 for the music? Outside of the road march, kings and queens and the competition winners of the years, do we have any information to say, okay, yeah, RX 3000 is what we just use for Alesis? No documentation, no information. Not as far as, so that's something that we would need to start working on. And we're starting today. What did they call the music back then? What did you know? When you were a teenager, Cory, when you were the age of the boys in this room, what was the music called?
Well, we used to call it, well, we used to say Wireless, actually. Because that was the term that them guys were using. People like Gregory and Mr. World and so on. Yeah, they were called it Wireless. And in one or two little conversations I would have had with Gregory in recent times, it's just like, because when they rhythm kick, man used to go on wild. And that was it. He used to call it Wireless, and he used actually, bull music. That was one of the things, but that never really catch, yeah. And then he used to call this style quaking style. If you listen, if you listen to some of the old songs that he did, quaking, as in earthquake, quaking, yeah. Cause the shit shaking, quaking, So, but that never really caught on. While as stuck, stood the test of time, and then I want to believe in the 2000s when my good friend Sugar Bowl took to the airwaves and so forth. He started using the word pep. I don't know if he coined it, but I know he was using it a lot. And later bands or later frontmen like the Mentions and so on, from my recollection, started using the word pep. So yeah, I started using the word pep afterwards. I don't know why.
I never heard the word pep till we were in the chat talking about it, and when we had the conversation with the student. But Tebulous, I want to turn to you and I want to ask you the same question. When you were growing up, because you and Cory have vast age differences, I'm sure, what were the people in your timeline calling the music?
I wouldn't say age differences. Close enough. But I went to school together. From what I could remember, because when I was small, I used to spend my Christmas vacations in St. Kitts, and my cousins and them love band music. So from the late 80s, early 90s, we're going to always find wherever GIs be, wherever, when Tucan was still on the road at the time. And then there was Grandmasters and there was Smarlax, who was very popular. I was a Grandmasters fan, so we used to hear about the Wireless, but to be honest, for most of the 90s, I thought it was Wild Out. Because when they play the music, people wild out. And so, sometimes when you're young and you hear somebody singing something, you don't really pick up what the word is. But to me, it sounds like wild out, so we used to say wild out. Over Bath and most in tongue, we used to call it wild out music. So, but then it was Grandmasters with that, and it was Smarlax as well in the early 90s when they started, because they started doing that style of music even before the MPC, right? And then we had, go ahead. I was just about to mention. And then you had 40 minus from about 90 to 93. Them guys came and you see. Now, they changed. They made a change in it to here. Inky mother used to live Old Road. So Inky used to spend a lot of time in Old Road. So Inky had no Rascally and them guys and so. We used to go around Razor's band in Old Road and Cool Runnings over in St. Paul's. So all them guys, the Jordan and them guys, Zigbal and them, and all of them had their input into creating that style in the early, mid 90s. But it was it's after Rascally really, in the late 90s when persons start talking about pep. No one again you would hear, like underground, in sessions, people would say, we want the pep music. And then Sugar Bowl is the first I start hearing on the radio, starting talking about this slow pep, because he was saying he liked to warm up his session, he made a session with the rhythm section. The rhythm section for the bands, you don't really hear them out. And you don't hear them on the radio at all. But Sugar Bowl started doing the slow rhythm. The way how the band name would warm up and so. Sugar Bowl would start playing them on the radio, and that is when we first start mentioning slow pep. And then I guess a lot of the singers start hearing that. And then everybody started talking about pep. So we kind of start talking about the slow pep and the fast pep before we even actually start to naming songs pep. But all that time, Wireless was still the name for we style of music that the guys them create with the newfound sounds from the MPC them. Yeah.
Thank you, Tebulous. That's interesting. I grew up in church, so I never heard none of these things. It was always church music and secular music, right? But it's interesting that as time, I know, right? As time progressed, that I don't like musicians, you know? I don't like musicians. That they're gonna be a meme. As I was saying, I grew up in church, so it's like I never heard the terms, but it's interesting how it changed progressively, because then we can't really say this is where it originally started. It was the growth and the development and the ideas of the music and the introduction of new people in the scenario that brought different perspectives, that brought different terms, that eventually coined the words that we know now. And I want to turn the question to Rucas too. Rucas, when you were growing up, you and the boys on the block, what was the music called? What you know it as in your community with your boys them?
Well, I mean, I still growing up, you know. I still growing up. I think that when you mention generation, you know, I am from a different generation.
Okay.
Definitely a different generation. You know, but I too grew up knowing the music as Wailers. Wailers. Not Wild Out, not Wilders, but Wailers. Right? So, I mean, that is the name that I go up on. Right? And I mean, as I got older, you know, I started learning the history, you know, because like íTebulous and MasaBlue, they would have been there when the history was being created. Right. I came in when things was already running, you know, and so now I had to work backwards. So I had to go back now to find out, well, where this came from, you know, who was responsible for this, you know. But luckily, I think I was kind of in a position where I was born into the music because my father is a DJ, you know, and so yeah, like I've been around it. I just born in it. Like I had no choice. I just born in it. I mean, like when I was about 3-4 years old, I could recall Ras Kelly being in the house. You know, like Kelly was in the house making these beats. I mean, at that time, I knew nothing about what was happening. Who this man be, you know. I just know that's my father's friend. He in the house. You know. And so, I mean, even my father, I know a lot about like the rhythm box, like the RX and the, you know, and the Akai and all these things because he owned these things as well, you know. So I grew up around it, you know, seeing them, understand what it is, you know what I mean. I still can't make a rhythm, you know, even though I can't. No, like I've been around them, you know, but I just feel like that just wasn't something that I took interest in terms of making the beats. And so, you know, now and again I might lock on the RX and, you know, go and, you know, I mean, you got to put all the songs on the pads and then you got to tune the pad. You got to tune the pad, you know, to get the sound and them things, you know. But so again, Wailers is what I know it as, you know, going up on the block, up to when I got into music, singing, creating, I still knew it as Wailers, you know. And then, now, I heard them mention something about Sugar Bowl calling the music pep, right? But for me, and I mean, I could be wrong, but for me, when I really started to pay attention to pep is when Nevis or íTebulous, as I think that íTebulous came with the first slow pep, My history could be wrong. But I feel like Tebulous, or maybe Tebulous came with the first known slow pep, or the one that took off, which would have been Searching, right? So when I think slow pep, I think Tebulous, because I feel like he is the one that basically set that tone for slow pep, you know. But again, Sugar Bowl did started calling the music pep and slow pep when he was on radio, you know. But I still think it's Tebulous, you know. But again, my history could be a little mixed.
I mean, your history is your history, you know, Rucas. We no grow up the same time as them, right? And what you experience is your experience. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Sugar Bowl rightfully could have started saying slow pep when Searching release. And then, as anything going, think it's a Nevis. When something starts, usually people just take off, especially like how Searching was such a big song. Still is such the identifying sound of saying it's a Nevis was pep. Searching. And now here's Searching. Right.
Let me tweak what he was saying. And that is why it is. Well, prior to Searching, he was since Carnival 2004. But he was in Sugar Mass then, so I say in Carnival. St. Kitts Nevis National Carnival. We wanted to make a slow pep song because the work song was a song that we were working on for the 2004 Carnival album when we used to do album for Carnival, but it didn't come off, and so we ended up doing work in 2005, and that was what we consider to be our first slow pep song.
Was there a song before? Because I had a big argument with somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they were saying that there was a song before Walk that was a slow pep. Mm-hmm. And I think the song that I wanted to record was Boom Boom on the Bass by Small. I can't remember the year. I think that's where we were debating. You know the song?
Was it Boom Boom on the Bass? Small Axe had a song, but they were not calling it slow pep. It was, I think it was the same year that we were looking at, yeah, because we and Small Axe started out with the same kind of, the slow rhythm kind of vibe, and just chanting different things on the rhythm. I actually had make up work one day. We were sound checking, to go play, and the road. And Inky was just playing the rhythm, and I just started singing the part. But if you're looking good and you're feeling nice, shut back, Panama girl. And we didn't even had the part work yet. We was just playing around with that. And all the time that 2 years, Small Axe had that slow rhythm, but nobody was considering making a song and calling it slow pep. It was just another St. Kitts Nevis song without a genre attached to it. And so we decided that we wanted to do work and we would have called it a slow pep. But like I said, we didn't come off, and we did it the following year, 2005. And that was the first time we put out a song, or anybody I could recall putting out a song and calling it slow pep. 2006 we didn't do anything, and then I wanted to follow up on it. 2007 that was on the list to do a slow pep, and that became Searching. Yeah.
So the term was existing in the airwaves for a while. About the rhythm. Right.
Pep.
Right.
The fastest pep, just a pep. If it's slow, you say
slow pep.
Yeah, but nobody ever really constructed a sound. That was just rhythm and chant. Nobody ever constructed a song. And nobody ever constructed a song and called it slow pep until work. None that I know of.
You gotta keep in mind that around that time, when it came to like live cassettes or CDs and so forth, nobody really focused on the slow part of the live, Everybody wanted the wild part. So you never really used to hear the rhythm them slowed down, right? So it's when you right, warm up. Right. Because how the bands used to play, for those of you who don't know, that style of dropping rhythm and so in between the songs and so never used to happen, you know. It's song after song after song, and the singer singing song, no rhythm come. Yeah, after we hit 140 going north, that's when the wild out start. But we never used to run no rhythm and so slow. That was a rare occasion when the band warming up, sound check. You know the band gonna start up, scoop, and then the rhythm gonna come in, and then I guess the guys, because I wasn't active in the federation around that time, there's always a response to the crowd when that first little piece of slowing drop, and you see the people start to step forward and they're doing, you know. So yeah.
So it makes me think, because then the pep and the wireless existed together. And it kind of trained our community to respond that way, because even to know, when a show starts, nobody will show up till they hear music. And that is because the slow pep was playing in the beginning for the warm-up. So our society is now trained that way. Right? But we just never write it down. We just never said what it was. The question I have now, because the two of them existed at the same time, do we still call it that going forward? Is the music that was representative in íTebulous and Cory time still representative in Rucas and Venelle time? Do we still have the same name, or do we call it Orange Cheer, because it's different now? Is it the same? How do we move forward?
It's a very hard debate. I would say the music is wireless. It came from wireless. I don't know what bodies gonna come together to distinguish how you branch off pep from wireless and what you will call it. Because the rhythm itself, we consider it pep. Only when it's slow down, we say slow pep, but not named fast pep. But it's still all wireless. So it's how we would look at that. I don't know if the other guys want to weigh in on it.
Yes, please. That's why we're here. Let's get the weights. Heavy weights.
Okay, so for me, I still say wireless, right? My only thing with it is that currently we are spelling it a little bit white. Yeah, we are spelling it, WILDERS, right? Which is pronounced wilders. For me, I think that we need to change the spelling of it, so that it can more capture the essence of, of our local twang.
But you agree with the word remaining?
Yes. Wireless. The only thing I might possibly say that we need to do as well is have sub-genres, right? Where you have wireless as the head, and then you have pep and slow pep being the sub-genres.
So you'll be slow pep wireless and pep wireless?
I don't think I would label them that way, though.
Okay.
I don't think I would label them that way. Let's say we on YouTube. I think it should be pep if it's fast, slow pep if it's slow. But it all falls under the umbrella of wireless. So if let's say somebody asks you, what is this music called? Wireless. The fast version is pep. Slow version is slow
Like
pep.
we have soca, groovy, slow, and power is fast.
That is how I think we should do it. But again, that's just me.
Okay.
Some real good points. To answer the first part of your question, is the music the same? It is the same. What has changed is the technology that we have available to us and our experience and our technical skill it has improved, but we still, the fundamentals are all still there. How we arranging a pep song or a slow pep song in 2025 is the same way we're doing it since 2004, 2005. What has changed is maybe some of the production techniques. Maybe we start now using live drums because we have proper recording studios, and we can do that now. We're using better quality instruments, etc., etc., etc. But the fundamentals are the same. We're still using kick drum, the basic Western drum kit. We're still using electric bass. We're still using a piano. We're still using a guitar when necessary. We're still using brass, horns, or a sound, or a synth that sounds brass-like, right? For the most part, we're still using the cowbell in the same pattern. The basic percussion runs the same. The structure of the songs are still basically the same, whether you have a band chorus. The band choruses have gotten shorter, yes. But whether there's a band chorus or with some sort of chant on top of it, we've been getting creative with that. But the structure of the song is the same, where you have a relatively short verse, a melodious pre-chorus, and into a rhythm and chant. The structure is the same.
The rhythm and chant was always in the structure, the chant.
Yes. And I would, as you brought that up, thanks for the reminder, I think that is a very key characteristic to Wilders, where it's centered around a rhythm and chant. If you strip the rhythm and chant out of the song, the rhythm and chant could stand by itself and be effective. Take the rhythm and chant out of the song, and the song will not be effective. Exactly. No. So rhythm and chant. I want to say rhythm and chant. More than likely, that's a very percussive, melodious rhythm with some sort of maybe limited range as far as melody in the chant. It's a chant, Yeah.
You could use searching as an example, so I could understand which part of that.
Is it
I'm
rhythm
searching, no?
The rhythm and chant part would be after the I'm searching, when the rhythm itself cut in. Wine with it, hot walk with it, yeah. Hot walk, yeah. Push your hand and blah blah. That's the rhythm and chant. Yeah. The pre-chorus in that song, and íTebulous could correct me if I'm wrong, but I would consider the pre-chorus is the I'm searching in the band. Because that's a melodious. Most of our songs are constructed that way, where you have maybe a rapid fire verse. Or something like that. Then there's a pre-chorus that's more melodious than what happened before.
Okay.
Then it gets into the chant.
Okay, the same thing, but for happy.
Okay, so that's the chant. That's the rhythm and chant.
Okay.
Right? Put your hand in the chant. The verse is the that's the pre-chorus. Yeah.
That's the pre-chorus?
Yeah. Touch the wall.
Okay.
Yeah. Pre-chorus. Melodious.
What's your Cory?
Yeah. Yeah, pre-chorus, more than likely would have some more intricate chords. I like to call it the sweet part. And, when we construct songs, I would say, íTebulous could tell you, because I would have made songs with these two gentlemen. What is the sweet part? What? We need the sweet part. If you ain't got the sweet part, you ain't got no song. Right. And a call and answer, yeah. It's more effective if you have a call and response.
Would that be considered a key characteristic as well? Do all of our songs usually have a call and response, a crowd interaction moment?
It varies. I mean, of course, there's always some
It's used, but it's usually used.
Yeah. Usually, of course, there are outliers. Everything ain't gonna follow the same rule, but there's some of the same things. But to go to the name now, I have my reservations with the word wireless, and the only reservation is because I'm thinking more of it from a marketing and promotion standpoint, and maybe if I could take up my feelings from my paper for a little bit. Growing up, the term wireless had a negative connotation to me personally, right? Because a lot of the guys older than me used to see it as music that was less than, right? Noise, wild, that they just wild, you know, encourage fighting, etc., right? And maybe that we could start wearing that as a badge of honor now, right? And flip that on its head, and you know we wear that now and be proud of the wireless. But I don't know. I know with some proper marketing and a proper campaign and so forth, we could overcome any negative connotation with the word wireless. That's my only reservation. That being said, the music is wireless. It is what it is. It is what it is. I personally been using pep, and maybe I like Rucas' suggestion of the subgenres, because if you think about it, you ask anybody outside of island people, Caribbean people, what's the music of Jamaica? They're gonna tell you reggae. No, they ain't gonna say dancehall. We gonna say dancehall. People who in it gonna say dancehall. But you ask anybody out of the region who is not familiar, ask them what type of music comes out of Jamaica, they're gonna say reggae. We all know that within reggae there's many subgenres. There's dancehall, rocksteady, ska. What are young people calling the music now? Drill? There's drill. See, you know, I know what's going on, man. There's drill. There's all kind of different subgenres. But as far as everybody concerned, all of that is reggae.
Yeah, I understand. From a music educator point of view, I understand that point. But they also identify dancehall as one of their main. It has moved up. Okay. It has definitely moved up with a lot of movement from the different artists and the young people excitement and thing. It has moved up. So it's identified now as, we know dancehall come from Jamaica. But when you ask the average person, the genre of Jamaica, reggae is always.
Okay, so let me ask a question from a point of ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
Is dancehall no longer a subgenre, or is it its own genre now in 2025?
I can't answer that.
Good that you mentioned that, because I want to weigh in on the wireless too. I believe wireless will fade out. I believe it will fade out. But the name. But I think going forward, as we are now establishing what is our genre, we have to make mention that that was the original name for the sound. But I think slow pep, the market gonna catch on to it easier, and that's what they would run with more than wireless. And probably because of how we sound, it would have the negative connotation like MasaBlue is saying when you think about it. But pep gonna sound nice and sexy going forward. But we know the people have to remind them that wireless is where we come from. So we doesn't necessarily have to be pushing the name wireless, but we have to establish that that's the foundation of our music. And then going forward, people are going to be talking about the pep all the time, but every time they go to check the history of it, you will see it come from wireless. And then now you're saying about dance, and then eventually pep would be able to stand on its own.
But can I just jump in real quick?
Just a conversation.
I don't know if our music is restricted to pep and stuff. I think there are one or two other subgenres there that we have not.
No, it's a great thing we just say
Everything under
I don't know what it is, but I know there's some songs that we create that
Give me an example. Give me 1 to 2 examples of the difference. So, because then you identify in our early.
Our dance. Let's see a dancer.
It's a more R&B kind of style.
Yeah.
Regular dancer.
Yeah. I don't know what
That's traditional. Yeah. You know what I mean? Lovely cards and stuff.
Yeah.
But listen.
Yeah. I agree. Because you can't forget that.
There is a culture.
Because you would consider it to be.
Which one of he sang them? All of his songs is dancehall based. Taliban's?
I would have him do interviews outside of here, and he said it's more Afrobeat. That's what he said.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in Afrobeat, he said it's more Afrobeat. So, but then,
here and there.
right? But then if you listen to that song, that's Senkis Nevis song too. That's Senkis Nevis dance.
I believe that guys like Nietzsche and them had that style before Messiah started singing that and highlight on them. Yeah, that was the original dancer song for Senkis and Nevis. A short joke about searching though, because I don't think anybody would be arranging songs like Searching again right now, because when you really look at it, to the pre-chorus is very long. Nobody would make pre-choruses that long anymore. Fun fact, when we released the song on ZIZ, the song was played 3 times, because the first 2 times, after Gimme Girl, Sugar Bowl, pull up, saying, yeah, the song bad. And then we said, but Sugar Bowl, this song got more, the chorus no reach yet. And then the man said, what? And he started over again when he passed the gimme girl now, and then he going to whine with it. The man was like, no, bad. Serious? So he sang got 2 chorus, we said, no. Sang got 2 chorus, and then the chorus guy. He didn't expect that, you know? Especially how we were talking about work was the first, and this is something we're trying again. So I think he was kind of comparing the arrangement of Searching to work, and then realized, but yeah, it was very long. So that was just a one-half there with the arrangement.
My question to you, Tebulous, though, because I wasn't around for the release. When you guys did Searching and put Searching out, did you already know that this was something new and experimental, or you were just making what felt right and that was it?
Both. We knew it was new and experimental, and we were doing something based on the feeling. Obviously, we had some back and forth about it too, because when I did work, I wanted work to be 1 card too. But the producers at the time felt like we should put more into it. We need to get some changes, which was right. Inky, we need to do more. And then so now when I was doing work, I felt the same way. I was telling Tusek, but we need to put some change. When we were doing Searching, I feel like we need to put a change in it. By Tusek said, but no, it's good, so it's good, it's going to be all right. So we went back and forth about that, and also about the length of how the song would come to, because with the length of the pre-chorus, it was running like a calypso. So we didn't expect though for it to blow up that big. I'll be really honest with you about that. We know. Yeah. Yes, the chorus itself played twice. Right. So we know we were experimenting, but we were just feeling like it was just another typical SKN slow pep kind of vibe. People here gonna love it. And we didn't expect that people outside would appreciate it more than the locals.
Sorry, madam.
Make your point, then we have something for the audience.
Why do you think Searching got the type of response and people gravitated to it outside of the Federation? What makes Searching so special in your opinion, right? That makes people, as Rucas said, you go anywhere, and if they're going to play one song from Senkis Nevis right now in 2025, it's 1 out of 2 songs they're going to play. It's either Searching or Broken Set It, which is two slow pep songs. Right, right. But I'm just curious to know why you think Searching resonates outside.
What I think, based on the feedback that we got at the time, first, of course, we used the sample that was popular at the time, which was Hot Work from Mr. Vegas. But the feedback that I got after the song was released was that we were in a dancehall style of singing and with local rhythm. I think that is what people pick on to the most and what people like. Because if you hear the singing by yourself, you would realize that this singing you could go on almost any style of music depending on how you sample it. So that was one of the things that stood out the most. The fact that the singing wasn't, I mean, how we go again, boy? I see enough girls in a short and then. And I had a little hand in producing the beat at the time too. So I was kind of singing to go along with the patterns of the beat. So I don't know if that is one of the things that really catch on, but the singing sound like part of the beat.
One of the things I know, and this is from a more technical and sound part. One of the things I know, DJs like the song because they like the low end. That just makes the sound system sound good, right? And if you want to test how good your sound system is, put on Searching.
Front-end speakers than the subs, yeah? Still, it's still the 808 wide.
Okay, we have a question in the audience, so we're going to go in that direction.
All right, so my name is X-Man Dellison Roper, and I just have a few comments. I hope you guys don't mind me taking 2 minutes. All right, so I've been in music for a very long time also, since I was a child. Yes, on stage. Real talk. Okay, but there's some things I want to touch on. Tebula said that Wilders might not be with us for a very long time, so we have to be very mindful of that name because the genre and music is changing. What I find with our music, sadly, is that SKN producers and singers are followers. Whatever is hot, that is what we follow. So if the Trinidad Booyah is hot, we produce a lot of Booyah. If the VI style is hot, we produce a lot of VI. So where is SKN? That is one question. When it comes to our music now, it's very difficult to say what our music is because everyone produces slightly different, but everyone is under the same umbrella. So that's another difficulty we'll have because I know when I listen to Booyah, I hear one thing for sure, and it's a drum pattern. That stand out. You could tell that's a Booyah, at least a modern Booyah over the past 5 years. You understand? That's the style you hear. So, what's the identifying thing for SKN? I could have tell you 20 years ago, it was the cowbell. But the young fellas ain't using that. Stuk. Them fellas ain't doing that anymore. So, we need something that a man could, so all like, okay, we got hip hop. You could listen to East Coast hip hop, West Coast hip hop, Southern hip hop, and you know what it is. But it's all under rap music. All of them might got different names and so on. Chicago is drill. You understand what I mean? So that's a question for the producers and so on. But I'm just saying, those are my little inputs to this meeting.
Yeah, so my question is, because I'm Bobby, you know, a local artist. I don't make, yeah. So I heard you guys mention Byron Messiah and Highlight, and you guys said that's SKN dancer, right? My question is that a good idea to say that's SKN dancer when that's not a homegrown genre? Like you wouldn't hear a Jamaican say they're doing, you know, Jamaican rap Jamaican hip hop. So is that beneficial for us and our genres?
Yeah, man. I think it is more than possible. Hip hop didn't start in I would say in England, but England have their style of hip hop, and I saw an Arabic rapper and right. And what they do, they just do their own style with their own accents and drawl and sound. Like when I listen to Southern rap sometime, you know what I mean? You hear this Southern heavy accent, so it's difficult to understand. And West Coast hip hop is always a kind of mellow, smooth flow. Yeah, you know what I mean? So no matter where you're from, you could create your own music. And you don't think people in Jamaica create R&B? But where Byron and Dragonaires were from Jamaica, right? Soca. It's one of the soca bands, let me say 25, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Byron Lane Dragonaires.
They were from Jamaica?
Yes.
You're kidding!
So when these guys, when Byron Miss.
They already have the established music that they push in. So for us that don't really have an established thing worldwide, that would be beneficial for us to just keep on switching genres and saying this is SKN music.
I understand why you're asking this question, because we're talking about branding our sound, right? But people will not always do it, because I don't sing bad music. I sing soul. And soul don't belong to St. Kitts and Nevis. But I am an artist from St. Kitts and Nevis, right? Just like how, like with food, Indian cuisine is here, Chinese, Asian cuisine is here, but does that take away from the food that already is in St. Kitts and Nevis? Not really. We can enjoy a variety of things in St. Kitts and Nevis, but our food is our food. So our music would be our music. So I understand why you're asking that, but we are not going to say, we created dancehall and this is ours, and no. We can utilize it and have artists from here who use it, but we are talking about what is ours, right? I could wear tubular shoes, but it's still tubular shoes, right? That's my point. That's a different conversation, because now the climate is changing. It's different thing.
Like 60-50 to Indians and Divisions. So the tourists, so when the tourists come in and they eat majority Indian food, they can't say that having meat.
What I'm saying is it would then change. That's a bigger conversation, because it then changes how Nevis would be marketed. Because then we would then have to say infused with Indian culture. That's changing the conversation completely. That's like you paint the house and add an upstairs. It's different. It's not going to be the same. Right now, we're talking about what we have here without too much outside influence.
Everything has outside influence. No, it's a difficult question. It's a difficult answer, and I think it's important for us to really understand and try to hammer down exactly what we will be seeking or trying to do. Right? I don't think at this point the conversation is Wailers is the music of St. Kitts and Nevis. I don't think that's the conversation, at least not now. I want to believe that the conversation is more of the popular music of St. Kitts and Nevis, the one that resonates with the people, the music that you hear during carnival time, Culturama time, the music that puts people generally in a frenzy or hyped, there's some sort of emotional connection to at this point. What do we call that? I think that is where we are. I could be wrong, but I think that is where we would need to start. And that would also now give opportunity for us to start looking into other subgenres or genres and like, okay, this SKN style of dancehall, what are we gonna call it? I don't want to get beat up, but how much different is Wailers from what we would consider power soca? Is there enough of a difference for an outside, like uninitiated, and I'm not talking about a person from the Caribbean, uninitiated, where you would play a Marshall Montana song and a song from Rucas and a song from íTebulous, and they'll be able to tell you what the key characteristics are and differences are. Is there enough? And this is just a general question to the panel and to the audience. Does our Wailers, does our pep, slow pep, is there enough of a difference for us to say it's not calypso, it's not soca? I believe so, right? But I think these are the questions that we need to start answering. K-pop come from Korea.
That's the only difference? Korean pop?
I am not an initiate. Right. I can't tell the difference. Right? I can't tell the difference. So I gonna just say you can't tell the accent from them singing. So as far as I know, that sound like the bubblegum pop. Right? From me, an uninitiated. And that's what I'm saying. From an uninitiated person listening to St. Kitts Nevis music versus Virgin Island music versus Dominican music. You can. I can.
How? What's the difference?
And let me put it this way. And this is an experiment that I would have done to a St. Kitts person. Right? Average St. Kitts person, I'm not talking about somebody like Rucas who over here pretty often. Right? To the average St. Kitts person cannot tell the difference between somebody from Cory Road and somebody from Hanley's Road. The accent. The average St. Kitts person, we can. Okay? To the average, okay. The average Nevisian person cannot tell the difference between somebody from Tongue or somebody from Maligno. From the average person, right? They just sound like a Kittitian. No, step out a little further. Somebody from Jamaica cannot tell the difference between a Kittitian and a Nevisian. They sound the same. Step out more. Everybody from the Caribbean sound the same to somebody else. So it all depends on your perspective and your immediate worldview. We in music, I could easily tell the difference between Sugar Band, Grandmasters, by rhythm alone, even before the singer start, right? There are people on the who can't tell the difference.
To add. No time. Watch. Let me tell you something. Watch. Cory stuck. Sound different to Rascally stuck. I'm telling you. Look. Just look. Let me show you how deep this go. Cory could strip everything out and just leave the background. Miller do the same thing. And I could tell you, that's Miller one, that's Cory one. I could tell you without hearing a lot of things, without the lead, without all them things, I could tell you. Cory start to strum, I could tell you, that's Cory strum it. David how strum different, way different to how Cory would strum. You know? So I mean, outside of St. Kitts and Nevis, everybody just say, you know, that's a St. Kitts and Nevis song. They don't know that, okay, that come from Small Axe, that come from New Vibes, unless they see it labeled that way.
Or they hear the voice.
Or they hear the voice. Now, I mean, Roper gone in and I wanted to say something to what he said about Booyah. Right? Now, same conversation that we are having now, we are saying that we can tell the difference in the beat. We could tell who make it based on certain signatures in the beat. It's the same for Booyah. If you talk to Dominicans, they hear a beat or they hear a song, and instead of calling the artist name, they call the producer name. They say, oh boy, little boy make that. That's Taffy. We can't do that. We don't know. See? No, as he said, the average person can't do that. They don't know. They just see, it's just Booyah.
It's so good.
It's Booyah, you know. But again, because we are around it, we understand how this person would work. And I mean, that even helped me as an artist to decide who can produce something for me. Because I like your style. I like the way, I like your workflow. I like the way how you create beats. And it might just work better for my style of writing. Or for, you know, or what I am looking for. You are the better person to do that. No. Let me say something else. Not because you might be the person that I usually go to. If I want a different style of song, you might not be the person to do that for me. No. íTebulous might be the producer who is stronger in that area. Even now, creating songs. I don't know if you guys know, but in St. Kitts and Nevis now, we have gotten away from the whole I want to be the one to be able to say that I did this, I created this. If you look at the credits on any song right now, and you see producer, you see 3 names, sometimes 4 names, because it's not one person making the songs now. You know, what we have started to do, and I think that we should continue doing, we have been working with persons based on their strength. You know, if it's that your strength is background beats, making the songs in the back, that's your thing. Well, that is what your contribution will be to the song. If MasaBlue is the one that, you know, is stronger in keys, that will be his role in the song. Something else we do in these songs. If íTebulous is the one that is able to know, put the polish or the shine on it, you know, where he do like a lot of edits, you know, the dropouts here, drop out the kick here, you know, you could change the snare pattern here, you know, because he has the ear for that. Then he will be the one to add that to the project, you know. So I think we have kind of changed the way how we have been working now as opposed to back then, You know, it is different because, like, and I could talk about my experience. You would hear this rhythm was made by David House, and of course, you know, David House is our rhythm man in Grandmasters. This rhythm was made by David House, right? And that might be his strong point, you know. But I might now go to MasaBlue and say, Blue, I need to make a song from this. And there's no argument because they, you know, he might be better. You might be better at doing that, you know. And so I kind of like how it is now within the federation where persons are now open to having other persons work on their project. Back then, you can't even get a rhythm from a rhythm man. Not you. How? Said, no, this is my thing. So I got to be the one to do it.
To add to what Rucas is saying, you know, times are changing, but we're now taking the pattern more of how because that formula is like an American style of making songs. And not hip hop, because hip hop just catching up to the time too. In recent times, where the name producer does not necessarily mean that's the person who makes the music. The producer is the man who says, listen, I'm going to use Alec to play bass. And I'm going to use íTebulous, because I like íTebulous' voice. I want him to sing the background vocals. Right? I'm going to get David House to make the rhythm. And I'm going to get, that is what the producer does. He coordinates the entire project and then pass it out. Not necessarily composition either, because he could get the composition from somebody else. Right? The producer is, listen, I'm going to get the writer to make a song for Venelle, because Venelle, I'm producing a song for Venelle. So I'm going to get X person to write the song. I'm going to buy that song. And then I'm going to get the bass player because I want it to be, but whatever. That's the producer's role. And then the producer now passes that off to whoever the executive producer is, and that's the person who more than likely paying for everything and got the final say, and say, yeah, this is good, here's your money. Right? So I think we need to be a little bit more up to the time, for lack of a better term, in how we start crediting people. Because nowadays is on even the last project that we worked on, one song having a bunch of different contributors, right? One man making the rhythm, one man playing keys, one man recording vocals, another man recording this, one man editing vocals, one man which is good, because I think you ultimately get a better product, because you're, at least from the producers, artists, or the executive producer's standpoint, you're getting the best of everything.
I think one of the things I gather from what he was saying too is that maybe we shouldn't be saying SKN dancehall, because dancehall is not ours. Dancehall is dancehall. And if we're doing dancehall music, it would be left for somebody outside to just say whether, okay, if it doesn't sound like Jamaica, well, where does it come from? And it comes from St. Kitts Nevis. But it is dancehall, and that is why we need to establish our genre, so that when other people start doing it, they can just say, it's Wilders, Pep, and people ask, where that come from? And they say, St. Kitts Nevis. The next question?
We have a question in the audience.
So, right, I just wanted to know the curiosity, right? Sorry. So, right, I just wanted to know, right, what happened to ultrasonic? Yeah, but like they're not active. Like why not? Say like
Any more questions?
yes, yeah.
I see Tebulous over there starting to sweat, but I'm not gonna answer it specifically. I'm gonna answer it generally. What happened to Ultrasonics is the same thing that happens to a lot of our artists and a lot of our bands, where frustration ultimately kicks in. Because to date, well, this is just my opinion, and I stand to be corrected. To date, the biggest artist to come out of St. Kitts Nevis, I would want to believe, is Byron Messiah. To date. Right? He would have had some international success, but truth be told, is nowhere near the type of success that other artists would have had. There was no one that really set a bar for us to look forward to say, I could achieve that. And even if I were to carbon copy exactly what he did, I may have a shot. We have none of that. We all would have made masterpieces of songs over the years, at least to our opinion, or our feelings, that we believe that this song shoulda, could have been big. But how do we achieve that? What are the steps that we need to take? And in 2025, we are still experimenting because we're not sure. Wopa made a point earlier saying that, we tend to follow fashion or follow patterns. And that's just because we just don't have anything locally that we know works. So, yeah, Boyan hot, Boyan blowing up. I want to blow up, so let me try make a Boyan. Rucas got a song, and it sound kind of like this. It gained some traction. Let me try that. That ain't work out. So let me go try something else. And you try that, and ultimately you just work out. Boy, I am now 48 years old, done putting all of this time, all of this energy into making music, and nothing going on. What TF am I doing with my life? And you'll move on to things that are better suited.
It does. What Roper's question did sting, because it's like we follow hot topics. We go with what is going, right? But what made Boyan popular? Was it just a change in the time? Was it their consistency with the one drum pattern? Do we have enough information to say that we can name the genre now? Right? Think about it. Can we name the genre? Do we know for a fact this is our formula and this is what we use so we can label it now? Or is it that everybody is still so experimenting that we don't have anything that actually works at the moment? Do we need to be labeling, or should we be more consistent in what we're producing to be able to identify something? Because a cow is a cow. A cow look like a cow. A cow ain't got horse tail and rabbit ears. A cow is a cow. Do we have enough information to create a genre to say, okay, yes, this is what St. Kitts and Nevis music sounds like. This is how it should go going forward.
Okay, so to the point that you're making, right? For me personally, and I mean, listening to other music down the islands, like, okay, for Booyah, personally, everybody sound the same now. It's like, it just sound the same. Because again, everybody's using the same patterns and all these things, you know, and so it sound the same to me. The only thing is changing now is, you know, the topics, you know, and maybe you know, like the cards you may use in certain songs. And I mean, the songs from Dominica that got big here would have been the Nasty Business. That is what got everybody to latch on to the Booyah. And now you start hearing about the Signal, and you know, you start to hear about all these other people. I mean, they had WCK, they had Triple K, and all these bands, right? But for me personally, I know that we are trying to lock down what, like, what's the formula to make what we call wireless? Like, is it that you use this snare and pair it with this cowbell and this pattern, right? For me, I just feel like we should, you know, allow persons to be, you know, as creative as possible, you know, because for me, right, mine, we don't have that right now, right? We don't have something, yes, we don't have a formula, we don't have a structure, right? Well, right, hold on. Here's where I'm going with this. Outside of St. Kitts and Nevis, mine, we keep the point that we don't have a formula or structure, right? Or that is what we are saying, or we need one, right? Because
Just for clarity, so I can understand where you're going. Right? We don't have a name for the formula, or we don't have a formula.
We have a name because people are actually...
Because there is a formula. Because if I get to make a song, I can do it what feel natural. It's there.
Yeah,
if Inky do a song, if there is a
That's the formula. The formula is everybody just do what I want.
No.
So how can we name it?
We do what we want, but it come out to the same thing.
Exactly. No, that is no. Hold on. No, that is what I was trying to say. That is that is where I was going just now. Because if we are going to say that, right, then how is it that persons outside of St. Kitts and Nevis can say that is a St. Kitts and Nevis song? There is something is there. It is there. It is there. Because you know what it is. You know, from the time you hear that. Look, you got person, okay, just our neighbors, Station. Station would, like, they would make a beat and it would be like, this is a SK beat. Because they identify it. They identify it. You know, so there is something, you know, and I keep hearing people, and this might be on topic but still off topic. I hear persons talking about this whole international thing too, you know, like making the music international and marketable and all these things, right? But yet, every song that we have labeled or termed to be international has not made it international for us. You know, say, by that sound international, you know? But it has not made it, right? No. Because listen to me. I am more talking about our style. Right? So the two songs that we listed earlier as the biggest songs are the songs that people identify our music with. Nobody call them international song. Is Searching and Broke It, Set It. Two rhythm-based songs. Two rhythm-based songs are the two songs that made it around the world. No latter, nothing in them is rhythm in your back. rhythm in your back.
And if the rhythm didn't have the local twang on it, it wouldn't have been it. So he come back to rhythm and chant. That is what make the songs them. But the point I wanted to make was, what we here doing right now is the work of the bands. That's why I'm glad that we now have the band association. Although I feel like you should have named the SKN band association. Still, but that's another topic. But I've been out of the band game for a while. I started looking at it and I realized, like, somewhere in the 2010s, I could realize the style start changing. And it started to sound a bit more in unison, as opposed to the early 2000s. I don't know if any of you agree with me or if you could think about it. The bands them sound more like now than when we first started experimenting with the sound in the early 2000s. Like, long time ago, a Small Axe, a Ultra, a Grandmasters, a Sugar Band had sound a lot more different than how now a Collision, a Masters, a Small Axe, and a New Vibes would sound. I think the rhythm man them kind of already going down the line of having that type of sound that when you hear it, you know straight up you come from St. Kitts Nevis. No, the bands are not trying to establish no genre, no name or anything. They just start. They just start. But I don't think they were doing enough. Now, for me now, as a solo artist, I don't have access to pep music. Like, if I send out a message now telling guys, I want a beat to write a song, I'm going to get 8 soca and 2 pep. You have men like Steady, West, a couple others who actually grew up in Wireless Band, but their first choice of music to make would be a soca song, a zouk. Now, what's the reason for that? How do we fix that?
It's because of the culture.
The culture. We gravitate so much to the soca music. No? Chop it anyway.
Okay. So, Wireless, pep music, whatever you want to call it, it's heavily rooted in band culture. St. Kitts Nevis band culture, right? And how we would have made songs over the decades, even right now in 25 and moving on into 2026. The song is based upon a rhythm and a chant that the band play out throughout the year. Right? Now, you as a soca artist looking for a rhythm, a solo artist, sorry, my apologies. Just because of the mere culture, I'm not an active band man no more. I ain't right now. I might be back, never know. Right? But I'm not making a wireless rhythm and putting it down. I'm not. If I make a rhythm right now and it sound like it could do something, I'm gonna send it to somebody. And the rhythm itself. Me talk about the 4-bar, 8-bar rhythm. I'm gonna make a rhythm, and I'm gonna say, "Boy, this sound like something." Let's say mention could work. I might send it to Miller. Might send it to House. Might send it to Leroy. I might send it to somebody, and that's how it got. My first inclination ain't gonna be. Boy, I got a rhythm here, boy. Let me the 4-bar rhythm that makes the rhythm and chant. My first inclination ain't gonna be to send it to íTebulous, the artist. Me ain't gonna take it up and send it to Delhi, the artist, Tobap, the artist. Yeah, and a band. That just because that's just part of how we would have created songs in the past. I am not going to make a full structured song, a full structured wireless slow pep song with cards and bank course and so and have it the same down waiting for me to send it to an artist. That's just not how our culture works. Yeah, It could happen. It could happen. It would have happened a couple times in the past. Well, yeah, I could think off the top. And the first song that came to mind was Super Sexy. Super Sexy was created like that. It had the rhythm before. Before you wrote anything on it, I had the chord structure and everything, and I was like, here. That hardly ever happened. So we might have to change the way that we create, how we write. Rucas and íTebulous are writers. Y'all know how y'all would have wrote in the past. You might have to start. I don't know how we're gonna do that, but to go on to the previous point about international songs, because I kind of hate that term too. It'll rub me the wrong way when you make a pep song or a wireless song and people say that don't sound international, or why don't you make something sounding more international? What you mean by that? I think our obstacles for making quote unquote international songs ain't have nothing to do with music per se. It has more to do with the overall production of the song, right? The sound quality. That it has a lot to do with the writing. We tend to write very local. We tend to, for example, we're going to write a song, and instead of saying, we want to say, I met a girl downtown and she looked good. Right? That is what we want to say in the lyric. What we tend to do locally, I met a girl by Best Buy. She from country, she from Hanley's Road, and she named Debbie, and she looked good. You localize it right away. Best Buy, Hanley's Road, and yeah, Best Buy. Exactly. And that has no relation to anybody outside of Nevis, much less saying it's Nevis. On the international scale. Right? Right. I think also we use a lot of dialect, which isn't bad. But we have to, if we're trying to be international, we have to also keep in mind that we have people who don't quite understand certain words. Right? If you're going to make a chant and say, "Le abi go down tongue," first of all, I'm going to ask you, what is an abi? Right? So, exactly. So I think we just need to tighten up. We just need to tighten up rewriting and our production on how we present the overall product. We have a question here and comment here.
I don't agree with that. Because in the Jamaican music, in the reggae, in the dancehall, they don't make the music international. They just, if you understand, you understand. If you not understand, enough for you. That's how they look at it. Yeah.
I think the major difference between this is Jamaica and us.
Mm-hmm.
If
The population.
If the Jamaicans' local population and the population in the diaspora, if they alone buy the music, they have everything.
Okay. That was the point.
Everybody in St. Nevis buys a song that's only 30,000 units sold. And then you add on people into the diaspora, so maybe you have now the double that, maybe 30,000. So you're only looking at 60,000, 70,000, okay, 100,000 streams, right? If you have a local, we need numbers, we need people who understand what we're trying to say.
So at the end of the day, Jamaica will have the international support because they have more people out there. So you might be saying, oh, this is popular because you hear it, but it doesn't mean that the Americans in the market accept it, but there are enough Jamaicans in that region to praise it. And then if you have a big Jamaican party, and that's what we are riding on right now. A lot of Dominicans migrated to a lot of these islands.
And the main difference between Dominicans and my opinion from my observation, you see them in a parties overseas, they're going to the area, they're going to whatever, they're bring your phone, they're going to the room, and they're going to start from back home. That is what they want to do. We don't have that level of confidence, unfortunately. I don't know if small elements or what, but we tend to simulate a little too much. Where we go, we're free to tell.
You follow the hot topics.
Play the song from
Think it's Nevis.
Play the song from íTebulous. Play the song from
Play outside again.
We ain't doing that, no. We go to legal and say, one latest ballot. You understand? We don't have that
Support. We don't support each other enough.
Right. And it's just, I think it's more confidence. Like, we know, I like happy. And I want to use that. I believe people in the
Anybody else gonna like happy like how I like happy? I mean I want to spoil the dance by playing this. Because people know who Marshall is. So
I suppose what could be one Jamaican in a party. And the box better bounty. Listen, I did an event. I'm telling you, I did a St. Nevis event not too long ago.
The Nevis?
Yeah. I did the Nevis event. And there was one Jamaican in that place. Kept on harassing me. Oh, you ain't got what was this party anymore? Party is what I can't remember. How don't want to hear that, man. And regardless of what I tell them, this is not what I'm here for. This is not my thing. I'm not a DJ, whatever. I have not played that. Harass. They want to hear it.
Consistent.
Yeah, really. And you know, you're not allowed to
And that's why I asked the question, because it's like, do we have enough information to name our genre? Is this what we should be doing, or should we be focusing more on what creates our overall sound? There was always sound developed enough to now label it.
Yeah, I agree so.
Should we go in that direction? Yes, ma'am, yes, we start to wrap this up.
Yeah, it's a lot of information, right? So the information kind of making my question go along over my head. So I ask it fast. So like, so you see when you have SKN music, right? And let's say the Wilders, for example. So when we are being unapologetically ourselves, or when our music is based off of cultural influence rather than trying to emulate what's international, I feel like that's the better thing for us, because yeah, so that's kind of conflicting, because you say we got to tighten up on this and that.
There's two things, and Rucas can attest to this. We're making a song, and just like anything else, you will say, "Why this one for the streets?" And it could be as raw as ever, and you do whatever content, because you know that's your intent. I mean, if you blow up, it blows up. But you're making this with the intent of you want to get this off your chest. This song for the streets. The streets supposed to get it, right? But if you're making a song and say, "Well, you have some confidence in this song," and you believe that this song can do something regionally and internationally, and you're making a song with that in mind, then we know that okay, we can't be as raw as we are to. And make no mistake, the folks in the pop, in the pop industry, they do that. Folks in the hip hop industry, they do that. They know something. This is gonna be a radio banger, so they have a format for that.
And it
This
was-
gonna be a street band. They have they have a family. They just rock and as I said, unapologetic.
But the point he made before answers your question, because of our population size, we will not be able to do as much as possible. Okay,
Well,
they will release
that's-
a song in America,
that's
in
being
New York.
pessimistic.
No, but the reality is the reality. We have 100,000 people, if so much, in things and Nevis, and all of them not on a phone, and all of them not on internet, and all of them not, you know, 50,000. But then think about it.
106,000 registered petitions and everything.
Okay, 106 of them ain't listening to the song. You will get probably 2,000. Right? How does that push your music forward? In New York, if I release the song, automatically 5,000 people will find it. Even if it's just on the first 1 second click. The population size does have a set in the scenario. Not that we should water ourselves down to accommodate everybody else, but if we want to reach 1 million people, they have to be able to want to hear this or understanding it. See what I mean? It's a factor. You can't exclude it completely. It's a factor.
Yeah, but my wrap-up statement is I believe that our music, once it's culturally based, we don't have to worry about no sneer and no this and that because, you know, like you said, people outside can already identify based off of our cultural upbringing, you know, so, yeah.
I feel like two great barriers we have to tap into. That's a different conversation altogether.
Tapping into tourism, tapping into, because it really and truly is St. Kitts and Nevis music pushed outside according to how the tourism sector is part of our product. Is the St. Kitts and Nevis music involved in the product of St. Kitts and Nevis tourism? That's a different question, a different forum. Right, and to me, that's where it starts. We have to start wrapping up, but I find this conversation very exciting, very interesting. Some things that stood out to me today as we recap, our key characteristics include rhythm and chant. A factor that's often used is the call and response, and the location and the uniqueness of our production, mind, and sound is the curry in the sauce. Yes? Thank you so much for being with us here today. My name is Venelle Powell. This is íTebulous. This is Rucas. And we got MasaBlue. And it was a pleasure being here having this conversation. Hopefully the next time we talk about this, we make a decision. But for now, it was great being here. Thank you so much, guys.